Welcome everyone, this is Redditosker. At the time of recording, there are 7 days until The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom releases. 1 week, that means we're basically there. And in this video, I'd like to take a moment to explain what my content is going to be made up of going forward. What I'm going to be doing post Tears of the Kingdom's release. And then you, armed with this new information, can make informed decisions as to whether you want to stick around to see that kind of content. The main takeaway you need to get from this video is that the content is going to be spoiler-friendly. What I mean is the goal of my content in the few weeks or maybe even a month past Tears of the Kingdom's release date is unlikely to spoil you. It's content specifically made for people that are playing a normal amount at a normal rate, and it'll be about things that many people will have already found. Now obviously that doesn't mean it's completely spoiler-free. That's impossible when you're making content about a game like Tears of the Kingdom. The thing about games like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild or even Elden Ring is that you have a lot of freedom. You can go in any direction and just keep going in that direction. And people that are so inclined can go and find things that the majority of the population will not know about until much later when they get to them, or they get spoiled and see it on the internet. But my content is not going to be about those kinds of things. It's not going to be about, oh, look at this cool thing that I just found that nobody else has found. No, it's not going to be about that. I'm going to follow the formula that's worked out for me in Elden Ring. And in Elden Ring, what I did was that I tried to take my time and enjoy things slowly and look for the invisible guiding hand of the developer. So in Breath of the Wild, you can go anywhere, but there's also a path that the game encourages you to go. After you do the shrines in the Great Plateau, you're guided to go to the Dueling Peaks, and from the Dueling Peaks go to Kakariko Village. And then from Kakariko you go into Zora's Domain. This is the guiding hand of the developer trying to get you to go where they want you to go, but not forcing you to go where they want you to go. They're simply encouraging you. When I played Breath of the Wild, when I played Elden Ring, and when I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, I'm going to go the way the game wants me to go. I'm going to try and pick up on the cues that the developers are leaving and go in the direction that they're telling me to. And my content will revolve around those things. For example, my early content in Elden Ring was about the early game bosses and their purpose, analyzing them from a design standpoint. I also had content about lore, gameplay mechanics, level design, illuminating misunderstood or at least poorly understood mechanics. And I made several spoiler-free tip videos that, as their name implies, gave out useful information without spoiling anything about the game. What I'm getting at is that my content is going to be designed for people that are going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom and are going to be playing at their own pace. It's content for people that want to enjoy the game relatively spoiler-free. My first video will likely be on the tutorial area, the Great Sky Island, analyze it from a design perspective, and compare it to the Great Plateau. Hopefully by the time anybody sees it, they'll have gone through the Great Sky Island area themselves. And my content will proceed slowly at that pace. It'll be about whatever catches my interest as I play, and it'll try to be about things and places that most people have gotten to. I can't guarantee that you're not going to get spoiled about something you didn't want to see watching my videos, but you should know that an effort has been made to avoid that. Now my content will also consist of everything I've been doing up until this point. If there's some news to cover, I'll talk about the news. If I notice an influx of negative or positive reactions to the game after release, I'll talk about that. One of the things I'm interested in covering is if the dungeons are dungeony enough to satisfy classic Zelda fans, which is something I've been harping on since basically the first video on Zelda that I've made. And the content I'm most looking forward to doing is podcasts with other Zelda tubers. I'm hoping to have several in the first month, and it'll be a place where we can just gush and talk about our shared experiences. But the way that they're going to be structured is also going to have a mindfulness for spoilers. So we'll definitely talk about a lot, but there will probably be limitations depending on how far into the game's life cycle we are. So if the first podcast is within the first week of the game's release, our conversations will be restricted to, the Great Sky Island and maybe the early areas around that. The podcast in the second week will talk a little bit more about things that are further away, things that caught our attention. And we'll make it clear at the beginning of each podcast what exactly we are and aren't covering. That way it's a podcast that pretty much anybody can enjoy. And if someone hasn't gotten to exactly where we are, then they can not listen to the podcast and maybe listen to it after they've done it themselves. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm hoping to be the channel people go to when they still want to consume interesting Zelda content, but they really don't want to be spoiled. Anyway, that's the end of this video. As always, thank you very much for watching.